Hello, my people. Welcome back to my channel. I am Allison with Baby Stepping to Freedom, and today, once again, we are talking about the budget. You might think that we've talked about the budget in almost every single video that I have posted, and that's because the budget is the single most important part in becoming debt-free or financially stable or reaching any financial goals that you may have. So that is why I talk about it over and over and over, because usually the budget is the one thing that someone is missing in becoming successful. So I've shown our budget a few times and how we do it in Google Drive. I'll link that video below to our zero-based budget tour and our September budget so you can see how we have it set up. Following those videos, I got some requests for our budget in template form, so then you can take it and customize it for your individual needs. And I have finally made that template. It took a little bit of time, that's why I didn't have it ready to go right away, but now you can find the link to my template below, which is in Google Drive form. You can customize all of the cells and rows and everything to meet your budgeting needs. Remember that this template is not the one way to budget. This is not how I'm saying you should budget. This is just this is what works for us, and if it works for you, then I'm happy to share it. The template is in Google Drive form. When you click the link, it will have you sign into your Google Drive account. A page will come up that will ask if you would like to make a copy. You press the blue button that says make a copy, and that will give you your very own version of the template that you can customize and set up to meet your needs. Before we get going, remember, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram so you can stay up to date on all of the shenanigans. And now I will share my screen with you and talk about each section of the budget and how you can customize it for your needs. Like I mentioned in the intro of this video, when you click the link to the budget template, it will bring you to this page. If it doesn't bring you to this page and it asks you to log in, that's because you're not logged into your Google Drive account. You need to do that first before you can make a copy. So all you need to do once you get to this page is press make a copy. That will take you to your own version of the template. It will be titled Copy of Baby Stepping to Freedom Budget Template. Up here at the top, if you're unfamiliar with Google Drive, is where you can rename this document for yourself, whatever you would like to name it. When you get into the template, you will see that the view looks like this at 100%. It's a little bit easier to zoom out to about 75% so you can see the whole thing. If your computer screen is not quite as big as mine, you might need to zoom out a little bit more just to have this view. This is what we'll use for the video. There are 3 tabs at the bottom of the page here. There is the Budget tab, the Snowball tab, and Directions. On the Directions tab are just some simple directions of how to use the template. Most of what is on this page I will be talking about in this video. If you think of something after using the template that is not listed in the directions, just shoot me a message or leave a comment below and let me know what's missing so I can keep it updated and have it be as helpful as possible. You can also add additional tabs down here at the bottom. There's a plus sign that says Add Sheet. All you need to do is press that plus sign. It will add a new sheet that you can right-click, rename, whatever you want to rename it. We have an additional tab on our budget that is for grocery expenses. We use this tab to keep track of the cost of groceries at different stores that we shop at. That way we know if something is cheaper at one place or another. That's just one idea that you could use additional tabs for. So we will start on the first tab, the budget tab. I'll go through these 3 tables and tell you how we use them and some ways that you can customize it for yourself. And that way you can move forward and use this how you wish. So the first table is this one over here on the left called Pay Breakdown. How we have this set up is for our 2 paydays, payday 1, payday 2. We have the income at the top that we earn each payday. Obviously, if you have more than 3 paychecks like we do, you can add rows to the table to include that extra income. And then below the income, we have the bills. This is just based on how our bills are done each month. So when you're customizing it, you would be moving the bills that are due from that paycheck into whichever column you need. One thing to note on the entire template is that if there is a 0 in a cell when you open the copy, that means that there is some sort of equation already entered into that cell. So if you are going to be moving the information, make sure that you move the equation with it. So for example, if you needed to move this cash envelopes line down, I will highlight both the title cash envelopes and the equation. I would need to cut and maybe paste it down here. That then moves it. The only problem is that it, removed some of the formatting, but that's a pretty easy fix to do. You'll also need to update, if you move these cells, you will need to update what it is adding up. So just be aware of what equation is in the cell. As you can see, this one is the sum of income minus all of the bills to this cell right here. So you would just need to say, instead of D12, you would need it to say D16 or D20, wherever your bills end. That way you're making sure that it's taking your income and subtracting all of the bills below it. As you see, the cash envelope section has a 0, which means there is an equation already entered. It is taking the sum of this cell over here from this separate table. So basically what this is, this cash envelopes table, it's taking all of your cash envelope expenses for the month, totaling it up here, and then throwing that number over into your pay breakdown, which will then subtract from your income and give you a remaining balance. For us, we take this remaining balance and throw it at debt. You could add, if you wanted, a buffer to each tab and say maybe you want to have a $50 buffer in your checking account. That would be taken out of this remaining amount. We just eyeball it each month, look at our remaining amount, and decide how much of a buffer we want to have, and just subtract that from the remaining amount. Whatever works for you, that works for us, so it's all good. I'll bring you down to the cash envelopes table now, since I just referred to it. As you can see, the year and months won't be super accurate because it's for 2018, but feel free to edit those and make them accurate for whenever you are editing this document. There are 2 rows for each month. That's because for us, we have 2 paydays. If you needed to have a 3rd payday, you're going to take all of this information and create a new section over here. You would just be copying and pasting all of that. And then you would just need to add a new row to each month to include that 3rd or 4th payday, however you get paid. I have some categories over here. These are some of the categories that we have. If you don't have these categories, all you need to do is edit it. Maybe you don't have non-edible grocery, you can just take that out, call it something else or not have it at all. I'm going to keep it in there because I like that category. There's also some open sections here at the end for other expenses. So what you do here is at the beginning of the month or whenever you're doing your budget, go through each tab and enter in how much you are going to budget for that category for that pay period. So let's say we are doing $200 in gas, $200 in groceries, $50 in non-edible groceries, $50 for pets. I'm just going to make up some numbers here so you can see how the equations work in the document. And say 40 there. So that totaled up all of the cash envelopes for the month, $830. It took this total and threw it over here to the cash envelopes amount, which will be subtracting from income. Let's say our income, first income is $2,000. The next income below it is $3,000. You would go through and enter all of your bills, and as you see, it will give you a remaining amount, which is what you can put towards debt or put in savings or whatever you're working towards. These two tables for us that I just covered are the main tables that we use when creating our budget. This table up here, monthly bills deducted, is how we keep track of bills that have come out already. So we watch our bank account, and when the bills come out, we enter the amount that has come out, and that way we know that the transaction is completed and that money has been taken out of our account. It has a total down here at the bottom, just because it's kind of nice to keep track of how much you're spending on each of these things throughout the year. There's also a section here for the due date. That's where I write the day that it's due and if it's paid through auto pay or bill pay or a manual check or whatever it is. That's just used to keep track of making sure we pay our bills on time. At the end here is debt paid off. This is just where I enter the year and how much debt we've paid each month and then get a yearly total down here at the bottom. Technically, it's not monthly bills deducted, but it is some money that's coming out of our checking account, and the purpose of this table is to make sure we're keeping track of all expenses that are coming out of that account so we don't lose track of anything. Of course, when it comes to formatting this for yourself, you can take any of these tables and cut and paste them to another section of the tab where you can have a little bit more freedom to edit them. For example, I like to take all of the months that are either already done or haven't happened yet, and I like to highlight them, right-click, and hide them. That way it condenses the budget a little more so it's not as much that we're looking at. And then you can just click the arrows. Maybe click the arrows. There you go. Unhide it. And then either open up new months or hide old months, whatever it is. You can also click on a column and maybe you want to hide a column or you want to add a column somewhere. Insert a column. There we go. Insert a column if you need to add new line items. That is the same thing that you would do here by adding an additional payday. So copy, paste, move things around, play with it, figure out what works for you in order to make this as customized as possible. I have showed our budget a couple times in the past, but here is our live budget that you can take a look at and see how it's organized. We do have the months that haven't happened yet hidden. We have some color coding for different things. So these are bills that are paid through bill pay. These are bills that are paid just through auto pay. Have some color coding here so I know what to transfer and what just automatically goes. And that is just what works for us. Once 2018 is over, I will just hide all of 2018 and start new rows for 2019. We'll go back to the template and talk about the Snowball tab. So here is the Snowball tab. This is where you will keep track of your debts each month. This is how we keep track of our debts. I know lots of people do it differently, but this is what works for us once again. So this is where you would list your debts from smallest to largest. There's room for 6 there. If you have more than 6 debts, all you would need to do is just insert one below and just keep it moving. As you can see, there are zeros here already. That means that there's an equation. This box specifically is adding up all of the rows above it. So if you're going to add another debt, just make sure that you add that into the equation. This row right here is for minimum payments. So this is where you'll enter how much you are paying on that debt each month. Snowball payment can get a little bit tricky. If you're unfamiliar with how the debt snowball works, basically you are paying your minimum payments on everything each month. You're throwing all your extra money to the smallest debt that you have. Once that debt is paid off, you take that minimum payment and apply it to snowball item 2. That would be this snowball payment. So basically, for snowball item 2, you would have the minimum payment of the current item plus the now eliminated minimum payment of the first one, which would equal the snowball payment. So at the very least each month, you should be paying this amount, this snowball payment amount, to that debt. As you move on, the number increases until you get to your last debt, and hopefully you're adding up all of the minimum payments that you've had before, and you can attack that last debt in addition to any other remaining money that you have. So that row is helpful to keep track of the minimum amount that you should be paying towards each debt. Next, we have this table over here, which will have your starting debt and paid off amount. The paid off to date amount, as you can see, has a 0, which means there's an equation in it. Up here, you can see the equation is the sum of starting debt minus the sum of, right here, remaining debt. So that will give you how much you have paid off to date. Also, one more table to point out down here is daily interest. If you don't want to lose sleep at night knowing how much you're paying every single day in interest, feel free to just give this table an old delete and don't even think about it. But if you're curious and you want to know how much you're paying every day in interest, this is a helpful table to keep track of. So we have each snowball item, each snowball item right here. You will have the current balance of each. Now that I'm thinking about it, I am going to edit this document. Oh no, it already is edited. Look at that. It pulls the total amount right here from each snowball item up above. So then as you pay off your debts, it will update the daily interest as well. All you need to do here actually is just enter the interest for each of your debts. So let's say your debt snowball item number 1 is $1,000. That will throw that amount right down here. If you are paying 6.5% interest on $1,000, that says every year you're paying $65 in interest, and every day you are paying 18 cents in interest. Let's say, for example, Snowball 2 is student loans, and it's a $45,000 student loan with a 7% interest rate. That means you are paying $8.63 a day in interest. That's why I said if you don't want to lose sleep at night over this number, feel free to not fill it in, but it is very helpful to know. As you enter in all of your debts and you get the daily interest rate, it totals here at the end for the total daily interest for all of your snowball items. So there we have it. That is a quick and dirty overview of the budget template. Feel free to take any of this information, change it, add things, take it out, whatever you need to make this budget work for you. It doesn't matter what your budget looks like. What matters is that you have a budget that's set up that makes you successful. So if there's something that you would like to see added to the template, or you need help editing, or I missed something, feel free to send me a message or leave a comment below, and I will help you out. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.